Could you please start, Farhan?
Hello, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. This is Dr. Farhan and I will be moderating today's virtual session on the role of law enforcement agencies in countering trafficking in persons efforts. Today's session is being organized by Pakistan-U.S. Alumni Network and the U.S. Mission in Pakistan. We are really delighted to have with us Mr. Paul Giblin, who is a U.S. diplomat and former journalist. He currently serves as a public diplomacy officer in Islamabad and oversees the Pakistan-U.S. Alumni Network for the U.S. Embassy. Previously, he served in Sydney, Australia, and in Luanda, Angola. Before becoming a diplomat, he worked as a reporter, news columnist, and editor for several newspapers, including the New York Times and the Arizona Republic. Paul and a colleague won a prestigious Pulitzer Prize for a months-long investigation into a popular sheriff's unlawful tactics to enforce federal immigration laws. He also worked in a civilian capacity as a public affairs specialist for the US Army in Kabul, Afghanistan. So I would like to request Mr. Paul Giblin for the welcome address.
Thank you very much. As you mentioned, I'm Paul Giblin. I'm here at the embassy here in Islamabad. Welcome and thank you everyone for joining us today. We're grateful that you're participating in this important topic. I hope that everyone learns more about anti-trafficking efforts throughout our discussion with our guest speakers who are renowned subject matter experts on the topic. This is an incredible opportunity to hear their perspectives. I'm personally very interested in hearing them, and I'm sure other viewers are as well. I'd like to thank our panelists, Syed Kausar Abbas, who is the Executive Director of the Sustainable Social Development Organization. He'll be speaking with us today, and he hopefully brought in another guest, Karam Abdil, who I guess got called away, but we'll hear from later on. He's the Inspector General of the Police in Punjab. In addition, our panelists include Barrister Haaris Ramzan, who is an IVLP alumnus, and our moderator, Dr. Farhan, who just introduced me. Thank you very much for coming. It's pertinent today that we talk about this topic because U.S. President Joe Biden proclaimed January of this year, 2022, as National Human Trafficking Prevention Month in the United States. President Biden's actions continue to trend in the United States. Since 2010, every single U.S. president has dedicated the month of January to National Human Trafficking Prevention. This all in an effort to raise awareness about the different forms of human trafficking and how to identify and address these crimes. It's estimated, unfortunately, that 24.9 million people are trapped in some form of human trafficking worldwide, including in the United States. Furthermore, COVID-19 has continued to make millions of people more vulnerable to exploitation to human traffickers. President Biden's actions reaffirm our resolve to prevent human trafficking and to protect the survivors of all forms of human trafficking, including sex trafficking and forced labor, and importantly, to prosecute traffickers. On December 3rd, just a month ago, the U.S. government released its new National Action Plan to combat human trafficking. This is an annual report. It focuses on the 4 fundamental pillars of anti-trafficking. Those are prevention, protection, prosecution, and partnerships. Partnerships like we're doing today with Pakistan. The plan also links anti-trafficking initiatives to wider efforts to counter illicit financing, advance gender and racial equality, to expand the rights and dignity of working people, and to promote safe, orderly, and humane migration. Finally, the plan underscores the importance of listening to survivors of human trafficking and using trauma-informed, victim-centered, and culturally sensitive approaches to combat the trade. I'm sure we'll hear more about those perspectives today. I'm looking forward to it, as I mentioned. So on behalf of the embassy and PUAN, I'd like to turn it back over to you, Dr. Farhan.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul. So our first guest speaker for today's session is Mr. Kausar Abbas, who is a renowned social worker and over the last almost a decade, he has been actively working on various social issues, including corruption. Mr. Kausar Abbas will be talking about a project that he's recently working on, issue of trafficking in person in Pakistan. So over to you, Kausar Abbas.
Thank you very much, Dr. Farhan sir. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon to all the listeners who are the part of this session. I would like to basically focus on the interventions what SSDO is working through the project funded by the U.S. mission, and that is basically focused on human trafficking and bonded labor. The geographic location of both the projects is Punjab and Sindh province. So I would like to give a brief presentation, share a brief presentation to all the participants. Let me share it. Can you see my presentation, please?
Not yet.
Kausar sir, please click on this share screen button.
Now?
Yes.
Yeah, I've already seen. Is it visible now?
Yes, Kausar.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it?
Basically, the project focusing on the combating human trafficking and bonded labor in Pakistan, the main purpose of this project is to develop a kind of synergies of different departments, interdepartmental coordination of the different departments to address the issue of the human trafficking and bonded labor in Pakistan. Initially, when we started this program and we conducted several consultations with the different stakeholders and with the different government departments, and most of them, they were like thinking like that this is just a mandate of FIA and we have nothing to do with this human trafficking. But there is a one component of this human trafficking, which is basically internal trafficking, and that is the mandate of the district administration, mandate of the police, mandate of the provincial governments, mandate of the federal government. So there is a need to develop interdepartmental coordination, because when we see the report of addressing the issues of the human trafficking by the police, it says that in the last 3 years in Punjab, only 8 cases were registered against the human trafficking in the Punjab province since 2018. It doesn't mean that Punjab police is not working on these issues. Punjab police is already working on these issues. But the thing is, they don't have the understanding that how they have to report the cases which are basically in which the trafficking is involved, in which the bonded labor is involved. They put that criminal to any of the other section of the Pakistan Penal Code, due to which they are not able to show their performance. Similarly, Social Welfare Department, Human Rights Department, Labor Department, and there are multiple other departments, Home Department, they are working. Maybe they are working on this, but unfortunately, they don't have the coordination between each other, due to which they are not able to report those cases correctly in the when they show their performance of reporting of those cases. So the purpose is to develop a kind of synergies between the different provincial stakeholders, different district level stakeholders, to develop a kind of mechanism for the inter-coordination between the different departments. So initially we started this project from both the provinces, Punjab and the Sindh, and in the first phase we established a parliamentary working group that has the participation of the multi-party people, parliamentarians of the different political parties who will be representing these issues in the assembly through after having the discussion and the working through our groups. So in both the provinces, we launched two parliamentary working groups, multi-party parliamentary working groups, in which we are basically facilitating the honorable parliamentarians to address these issues in the provincial assemblies through by providing them research and different policy level assistance. There is another group which is the provincial level departmental group that includes the departments, officers of the different departments, like the labor department, home department, law department, the human rights department, social welfare department. And these are basically the provincial level officers, because they have to implement that policy at the provincial level. If a parliamentarian is making a legislation, if a parliamentarian is asking the question in the assembly, the implementer is the provincial level bureaucracy or the management of the administration, who have to basically implement those policies and those laws. So there is another group which is basically district level group of the different stakeholders of the same departments. The purpose is because the cases, they are mainly reported at the grassroots level, in which most of the people they are not aware about these issues. So we have to develop the coordination between the district level officials as well, that if any of the case is highlighting in the district by the social welfare department, they can refer that case to the police, they can refer that case to the labor department, to the deputy commissioner, to the district administration, to see that how this case can be reported and addressed, and how a referral mechanism can be strengthened through these the interventions and discussions. So these three groups basically are made. You can see the pictures of these groups, like this is the launch of the parliamentary working group and the launch of the provincial level stakeholder working group, in which we launched in Punjab, and it has 37 parliamentarians who attended this launch. Then we have a parliamentary working group in Sindh, which is attended by 19 parliamentarians. Then we have formation of the provincial stakeholder working group, which has again the participation of, I think, 25 people. We have the Sindh working group, which has 27 people who attended this, including police and the different departments. And the district level working group, that this is also attended by the 24 participants of the different districts, and basically these are the district officials. So here is the media outreach, in which basically it is covered widely by all the mainstream media while having these sessions. And there is a component of media which is also included in this project, because if you see the media, they basically they don't report those cases properly. So we are building the capacity of media as well, that how they have to report these cases while highlighting these issues in the media. So see, in Pakistan, in the Jung newspaper is what it was published, that Pakistan, there's a chance of Pakistan to be in the grey list. So an NGO like SSDO has made the 5 working groups, stakeholder working group in the province. So there is some English newspaper coverage as well. Dawn has published a rehabilitation center to be set up for the victims of the human trafficking. So the good thing is that after having such a intervention in such a small time, like it's like just 3 months, I think we are starting, we have already working 3 or 4 months since we are working on this. So the good thing is that the Home Department of Punjab, you can see this notification. They have notified it on 29th of December on our recommendation, and having the regular coordination with the Home Department, with the police, and with the different stakeholders. Sorry, they have notified a committee in which they have included FIA, Inspector General of Police, Home Department, AC, Additional Chief Secretary Home, Labor Department, Law Department, and all the relevant departments are the part of this committee. Similar committee is about to be notified in Sindh. It is basically approved by the Chief Secretary, and now the notification has just to be signed and published. The notification will be published hopefully in a 1 or 2 day. So similar committee will be notified in Punjab after having all these interventions, and we are regularly in touch with both the provinces for this. See, another notification: urgent action required by the Sindh police on issues of trafficking in person, report 2022. So Trafficking in Person Act 2018. So there is this is basically in the Sindhi language. Unfortunately, I can't read it in Sindhi, but I know the Urdu English translation and Urdu translation of this. It is also showing that the police have to take proactive steps, and after that, we received call from the district police officer Sakhar. We received call from the district police officer Khairpur. We received call from the district police officer Khoti, SSP Central Karachi, SFT, and the different other police officers who are approaching us to conduct their training on addressing the issues of the human trafficking and the bonded labor through police. So, keeping in view because we requested them that we should be conducting their training in the month of Feb, but they said no, it's very urgent, we have to do it today. So we have conducted a brief online session. Dr. Farhan was also part of that. We conducted a brief online session for the Khairpur police on the human trafficking, and the others, they are like requesting us. Labor Department Punjab is requesting us to conduct this training. So there is a huge scope after building their understanding on these issues. Only in Sindh, there were 339 cases which were reported from last week of December till first week of December, January in the Sindh province. So this is a kind of you can say the achievement we have taken through such a short kind of intervention with the relevant departments. And there is a huge demand we are receiving especially from the police and the different departments to conduct their training. You can see the pictures of the online training we have conducted for the Khairpur police. So thank you very much. This is a brief overview that I wanted to give about our work.
Thank you so much, Kausar Saab, for educating us about the interventions of your project and some of the success stories. Our next guest speaker is Mr. Haaris Ramzan, who is a barrister from the Honorable Society of Lincoln's Inn and managing partner of Ramzan Law Associates. Barrister Ramzan has worked extensively in areas of power, procurement, health, regulatory, labor, consumer, IT, ADR, international law, and human rights law, besides representing clients at different forums, including the Superior Courts of Pakistan. Barrister Ramzan has advised the government of Pakistan on issues of international and human rights law. He has been delivering lectures in various prestigious organizations on human rights law and on international law and human rights law. Barrister Ramzan is also the founding chairman of the International Law Committee at the Lahore High Court Bar Association. He has authored numerous research articles and research papers. So over to you, Barrister Haaris Saab, and you will educate us about that why, despite having so many laws in Pakistan, we are not yet been able to address this issue of trafficking in person effectively. So over to you, Barrister Saab.
Thank you, Dr. Farhan. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay, fine. Dr. Farhan, thank you so much. And Kausar Saab has already highlighted a bit of the part that they have been doing, and I must appreciate their efforts, that there's a specific organization which is working in this area. Well, the question that you've asked me and looking into the entire scenario, the answer is not that simple while being in the Pakistani jurisdiction and understanding the base legal system in Pakistan. Unfortunately, the issue of trafficking in person is merely one of the new aspects that has surfaced only because of fine people like you who have actually taken up it has been highlighted at the international level, as Paul has already stated in his initial remarks. And then the world is now looking into the matter that this is something which exists. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, this matter has always been rampant since its inception. Even though, if you look at the legal system of Pakistan, the fundamental rights enshrined in our constitution, which are articles 8 to 28, are extremely vibrant in nature. And if you look into the amount of litigation which is done in the courts of Pakistan, especially under the Article 199 of the Constitution jurisdiction of the High Court, which is a writ jurisdiction, I think more than 50,000-60,000 cases are filed every day, and a bulk majority involve issues of human rights, as this issue is one of those issues. But unfortunately, even though when people have this access to this extraordinary jurisdiction of the Lahore High Court, where while filing a simple writ, the matter is heard by a judge of the caliber of a High Court judge who can instruct any of the government authority to do or not to do certain things. Yet we are still in a state where the concept of trafficking in person is completely oblivious to the very basic human being living in our society. Now, I being a practicing advocate, I've had the luxury of actually understanding the law itself and interacting in the areas of international law with the international organizations. Plus, being a practicing lawyer, I come across the base individual in our society who we see in the courts, who are roaming here and there. And the problem over here is that the overall situation of human rights is so bad that people are striving for the basic rights. Now, the problem, moving a little further, the concept of trafficking in person. Now, you look into this aspect, there are 2 to 3 different angles that we look into. Number one is the actual trade of actually taking people out to different countries through illegal means by alluring them into good jobs. Especially if you look in the province of Punjab, the more you move around the city of Lahore, you'll see people living in quite desperate situations. And then there is a concept that people look up to others for quick money, quick bucks, and becoming rich, because corruption is so rampant in the society. People want to actually achieve something which takes years to achieve. For that purpose, these people come into play. They show them the beautiful life of Europe, or it's very difficult to go to the US, but Europe is one of the most attractive destinations for these people who are dealing in trafficking in persons. Now they have this complete illegal route of taking them through these containers, and a number of them die. This dilemma had emerged in the European press as well. And unfortunately, a huge number of those people who are caught or killed in those miserable situations hail from Pakistan. So this is one of the probably other aspects. But I think one of the main aspects that we find around in this area is the child labor and the bonded labor. Now, if you look around us in our society, unfortunately, in every house, we have a small child. Now, I worked with the labor department for a short while, and I came across a number of laws. Now, this is just something which is alarming, that any individual under the age of 15 years is considered a child, and it is a complete prohibition under the law that any person under the age of 15 may be employed in the smallest of ways. They cannot be made to work. Now, in every of our houses, our young ones are being handled by these little 11, 12, 9, 10 years old kids, both boys and girls. And this is being done by those people who are in the helm of affairs, who are the ones who actually have to sort of check the entire thing, and they have to make and establish these laws. So it has to hit at the very grand norm of the entire thing. You have to hit the very baseline, because the narrative at the top level has to change, that one day people will have to realize that we will not employ these youngsters. But the overall situation is so bad that the overall socioeconomical condition compel people from such backward areas to actually get their children employed for some money, and actually these children earn these people reasonable amount of money, because they have a habit of having several children, and eventually these children get employed at different levels, and they earn all of them earn a reasonable amount of money for their parents. So it's somewhat a lucrative business as well. So this is one of the areas. The other side is the bonded labor thing, which is a complete exploitation of families, of extended families. People are chained, they're made to work in desperate situation, and then debt over debt. This is something which is a phenomenon which is very common now. Everyone knows that. But now coming back to the point that what is the legal system looking into? Unfortunately, in my view, this is what I've been saying for a reasonable amount of time as well, that what we need to realize is that the law enforcement agencies are in such a bad condition that they are not even being able to provide us with our basic protection. What to talk about these areas? They work these. It would have been a pleasure if Kamran Adil was here, because he's a person who has risen through different levels. He himself worked in the area of international law and human rights law. I've worked with him at a very early stage, and then he is a career civil servant and higher official of the police. He knows that the policemen, the way they are working, the law enforcement agencies, how they're working with such little support from the state. It is a miracle the way they are actually looking after the entire affairs. They have no understanding, they have no will, they have no interest in these areas. They don't want to do anything. All they want is that just to spend their day and go away, because they're so overworked. There is the concept of accountability is so poor that the higher official, and then there is the differentiating aspect between the superior ranked officers and the junior ranked officers. A lot has been said and done about this area, but unfortunately, this divide has compelled these junior ranked officers into corruption and taking no interest in their work. They have no work guidelines. They have no proper meetings with their superiors with respect to learning and understanding. All they do is they run here and there and look after their areas, and just to maintain the basic law and order. With regards to trafficking in person, it would definitely be a novel idea for them. We are not interested, because even if they would have made a small interest or step in this regard, then again, the corruption in the entire system would emerge, and these people would be rather either transferred, or they would be suspended from their services for taking an action against any influential person. Because as I said, in every influential house, we find such an abuse happening. So I think what Kausar Saab has said, it's just this. Now, I was just looking at the notification of the government of Punjab, the Home Department one. If you just look at the number of participants in that list of working meeting group, you would realize that the entire list of higher officials have no interest in this area. They are least bothered. You look at the working affairs of these government departments, because I have almost 5, 6, 7 years of experience while working with them. None of these departments are even interested. None of their employees is interested. There might be a few isolated officers who would show an interest that, okay, let's do something in this area. That would be solely because of self-motivation. But as a unit, there is no interest in any of the officers in working in those areas. And in my opinion, this would serve us no purpose. A solution that I can come up with over here is while explaining the overall system, because every time it is all about explaining our own dirty linen in front of everyone. I personally believe that the change will only come in if people from the private sector, people like Dr. Farhan, Kausar Saab, all these people who have worked in this area, they should be encouraged to sort of form an organization or come under a single umbrella. And they should be encouraged to form a pressure group to work in public-private partnership with the government departments, concerned government departments, so that these government departments should know that on a daily basis there is a pressure mounting on us, and if we do not deliver, then that will be a difficult situation for them. These individuals on a daily basis should check their operations, to check their working, and slowly and steadily things may start improving in this area. So that would be a solution on which I would like to conclude my viewpoint, and then I'm open to different questions if I have made myself clear. You, Farhan sir.
Thank you so much, Barrister Haaris. Yes, you have highlighted some very, very important points that directly and indirectly influence, the law enforcement in Pakistan. Unfortunately, our third guest speaker, Mr. Kamran Adil, who is the Deputy Inspector General of Police, he will not be able to join us today as he was suddenly called in the cabinet meeting. So now the floor is open for questions. So I would request our participants to please raise their hands. So they can either raise their hands or they can type in the questions in the chat box at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so let me, Barrister Saab, let me ask you a quick question just to begin this conversation. So you have highlighted some very serious issues. For example, you talked about this issue of child labor, which I think is a really serious issue in Pakistan. So what happens usually, or what has my experience, is that when we talk about trafficking in person in Pakistan, so still, people have this very narrow understanding of this issue, that when it comes to the trafficking, okay, so it always involves coercion. It means that people would be chained, or there would be some, something that would be really, that can be seen, or that people will not be really allowed, or they will be imprisoned or something like that. But the issues that you have highlighted, for example, children that are really working at the age of 9, 10, 11 years, for example, in the case of, recently case emerged in Islamabad, what happened, that girl, Taiba, and so many other girls. So unfortunately, even in the labor department, people don't consider it as form of labor exploitation. So I just wanted to take your point as an expert in this domain, that if we really want to make an argument that this is also a form of exploitation, this is also a crime, so how can we actually convince our law enforcement agency that this is also a form of human trafficking?
Dr. Saab, thank you so much. I think the foremost element is to actually understand the base working of those organizations or those statutory state institutions who are responsible for stopping or looking into this matter. Now, working with the labor department, I came across individuals who were in their late 50s, mid 50s, who would only come to the office, look into the clerical work, sending letters here and there, or probably attending meetings and just looking into it. How would we get rid of this meeting, and how to sort of escape our liability and here and there. There is no concept, no working, no understanding of this concept of their base work, that is labor and human resource department, which it is. There is no probably expert in this area, an expert who would understand what these issues are, what are the implications of these issues are, and who would have a very soft view towards the people who have been subjected to these crimes. This is the foremost element. This is the ground reality that we are looking into. As a way forward, what needs to be done is that the revampment of these departments have to be done in a way whereby people in authority must be those people who can actually act on ground as well. Now, what we need to understand is that all these organizations, state organizations like the labor department, are headed over by a career administrative officer who on one day would be Secretary Health, the other day he would be Secretary Labor, the other day he would be Secretary Sports, and so on and so forth. Such people come here for an undefined time frame, whereby they could work for 2 months and maybe they can work for 3 years. They have no goals, they have no aims, they have no probably aspirations of doing good for that particular department. As I said, there might be some people who for their own self-motivation were willing to work, but otherwise these people have no interest in this area. Now imagine an organization which is there to actually eradicate the entire aspect has a head who has no interest in this thing. How would you sort of expect goodness coming out of them? So as a solution to what you've said is that we need to have people well versed in this area in decision-making levels in these organizations. It could be through public-private partnership initiatives, whereby the secretary, whoever he is, wherever he is coming from, he should know that this is an organization on my head. I am answerable to these people, and if I don't achieve these tasks through my department, then I will be held accountable for that. So even though if they get changed, the moment a new officer comes in, he should be on the very first day should be aware of that these are the matters which was left behind by my predecessor, and I have to continue them and I have to finish them because I would be answerable before a core team of experts who are looking into this aspect. This is one side. Number two, the most important aspect is that in this entire scenario, we are missing the political element. It is the involvement of the ruling political party on whose agenda this matter has not surfaced to date. Now, if you look into it, the entire conversation has been initiated by Kausar Saab's organization. These are individuals who are self-motivated. Then they are approaching the government departments. Yet the government departments are making a committee of again career government servants. But where is the involvement of the political leadership in it? So on one side, those political leaders must be made part of it. They should be held directly accountable that this is what you had promised us, and now this much time has elapsed and you have done nothing in this area. And finally, I personally believe that, in my opinion, seeing is believing. I think a strong approach should be taken with the electronic and print and social media, where such small clips of probably a minute or two's maximum, 50-second clips should be made, where awareness should be given at different levels. Now we see that on different issues there are television dramas made, which have actually given people a lot of education. And in our old days, when we were young and we used to watch these Pakistan television dramas, a lot of education was given to us through these dramas. So I personally believe that these people need to be taken on board. Small clips should be circulated in the social media where this crime should be highlighted. A scenario, a real life scenario could be recreated, and it could be told at the end to these people that, look, this is what is happening in your house. And this is something which is a crime under this law, in a very indirect or polite way. And slowly and steadily, this can bring about a change. So Farhan, this is probably a little longer answer, but probably if I've managed to answer the question.
Thank you so much. Now I can see Ms. Farhana Ansari wants to ask a question. So over to you, Ms. Farhana Ansari.
Hi, thank you so much. This is Farhana. I'm here at Harvard Law School on the Fulbright, just about to finish my degree. Just wanted to introduce myself before we go ahead. I have my question from Mr. Kausar Abbas on the project that you mentioned that your organization is doing. I just wanted to ask more about the stage that this project is at, and whether right now you're looking at what laws we have, as in after the 2018 laws that we have in trafficking and smuggling. Are you looking at an analysis of those laws? And then are you also sort of in the working groups that you mentioned, are you trying to sort of figure out why there is a lack of coordination between these different institutions like the Home Department, the police, the FIA, and the ambiguity in terms of which department is supposed to do what and what is their role in that? Is that the aim of the project? And what I'm trying to basically understand is what the what it's trying to achieve out of this? Is it the fact that we're looking at sort of recommendations on whether we need to develop rules and SOPs, or are we looking more at the practical side of things in terms of what the state of human trafficking is and how we can sort of make that better? So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Farhana, and thank you, Barrister Saab, for giving a detailed overview about your point of view about these about this issue. The project is basically it's like it was started, I think, 3-4 months ago. It's not that much old project, and the presentation I have shared is basically the initial interventions we have conducted through this project in the, like you can say, the first 4 months. As a next step, we are currently in the phase of developing a detailed training manual for these stakeholders, for different government officials. And in the month of February and March, we will be conducting their detailed training for I think it would be a 5 days training that would be conducted for the police and for basically the multi-stakeholder working group. So after that, we are planning to develop a kind of provincial action plan for how to counter, the issues of the human trafficking and the bonded labor in any specific province or any specific region. So with the support of these government officials, at the end of the training, we'll be developing a kind of a provincial action plan, and that provincial action plan will further be shared with the government departments, shared with the parliamentarians, and they will be further highlighting, they will be facilitated to, why we included the parliamentarians in this group, because parliamentary intervention is very close to my heart. And the other thing is that why it's very close to my heart is because the role of parliamentarian is very important to address these issues. It's not just to make the legislation. There is a role which can be strengthened, which is the oversight. The parliamentarian can question the department, the Home Department, police, Labor Department, Social Welfare Department, any of the department, that why they haven't addressed any of the specific of the human trafficking issue, or they can raise the question that how many cases are registered in the province or in any specific district, and that officer is bound to respond them to in the house, in the assembly, that what they have done under that specific law. As far as the law is concerned, the human trafficking, prevention of human trafficking law 2018, it's very good law. But there is a lack of understanding to the people, to the departments. They, initially they were thinking that this is the mandate of FIA, and FIA has to do all this. Even initially, when we started discussion with the police and with the different points, we have to do with this. This is not our mandate. Why are you including us in this, issue? When we sensitized them, when we shared all these issues with them, that there is an internal trafficking as well, which is, I think, the number of internal trafficking is more than the, external trafficking. So you have to address these issues, and this is the responsibility of the provincial government. This is the responsibility of the district administration. This is the responsibility of the district police. This is the responsibility of the local police station. So there is a need to develop a kind of capacity of these institutions. I would also like to comment on your and as well as the Barrister Saab's one comment that they don't want to work. They want to work, but unfortunately, they don't have understanding how to work. Till now, they were not aware that whether this is an important issue and it's our responsibility, and the people are exploited through, this human trafficking issue, and the bonded labor is also one of the issue which is the responsibility. Maybe the Social Welfare Department of Punjab, they are doing a lot of things. Maybe the Home Department of Punjab, they are doing a lot of things, but they don't have the referral mechanism. They don't know how to address this issue through any other department. Maybe another department has a kind of rehabilitation mechanism, but unfortunately they don't know that, okay, if the case is with me, I have to consult with the police. I have to consult with the Labor Department. I have to consult with the Home Department. I have to consult with the Child Protection and any of the department. So this is one of the major issue, which is basically the component which is missing in all this coordination. So we have to sensitize them. I received call from the IGP office of Sindh they want to make even, an online system to report these cases. They contacted me and they said that we want to make a kind of software in which we can highlight, if anyone wants to highlight, they can like report through that software or through that mobile app. I said, yes, we can facilitate you. We'll try to facilitate you. Let's have a meeting. Then we can discuss this further. It means they want to work. We didn't say that we want to, you should make this, online reporting system or something like that. They personally want. In Punjab, there is a EFIR in Punjab, the computerized FIR in Punjab. Yesterday, I had a meeting with the Home Department. I am sharing these things with you people is that just to show or to share that the departments wants to work, but they need support and the capacity on these things. The Home Department, I had a meeting yesterday, and they were saying that in the drop-down menu of the different sections and the crimes, this trafficking issue was not part of that. And in the last week, after notifying this committee, we incorporated this section in the drop-down menu, and now an FIR can also be registered at the local police station. So this shows that they want to work on these issues. But, there are the issues of the capacity, there are the issues of the resources, there are the issues of the understanding. Again, I would like to quote the example of the parliamentarians. People think that parliamentarians don't want to work. I work very closely with all the provincial assemblies at the National Assembly. There are a number of parliamentarians who wants to work. But unfortunately, Pakistan, the assemblies, they don't have the mechanism to provide research teams to the parliamentarians who can assist them. So you can say the entire world, they have each parliamentarian, they have more than one researchers with them who can basically assist them to provide them data, and then they speak in the assembly or make the legislation in the assembly. But unfortunately, we till now we don't have the mechanism to provide a kind of research team to the honorable parliamentarian that they can like further work on that thing.
Thank you, Kausar Saab. We have another question, and that I think so is more relevant to Barrister Haaris Saab. So Ms. Khatija asked this question. In my litigation experience in Islamabad, there is still some confusion when it comes to jurisdiction in trafficking cases, whether police or FIA will investigate. Any settled principle in this regard by the Lahore High Court? Barrister Haaris Saab.
Farhan sir, can you please read the second part of the question, please, again?
Yeah, I will read it. So Ms. Khatija asked that in my litigation experience in Islamabad, there is still some confusion when it comes to jurisdiction in trafficking cases, whether police or FIA will investigate. Any settled principle in this regard by Lahore High Court?
Thank you so much. I get the point. I think this is a matter of research, because whenever we look into a legal proposition, this is something which needs research. I am not actively litigating in this area with regards to representing people involved in trafficking in person. But of course, this thing can be researched and looked into. But from overall my experience as a lawyer, especially being in the High Court as well, I've seen very, very small number of such issues being taken up or any jurisprudence being developed in this area. So what has been asked in the question, this is something still not clear in the legal jurisprudence at the moment, which requires substantial inquiry as well.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shahid Khan, sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, all participants, especially speakers. Regarding, first of all, I would like to respond the last questions in my own experience, because you see, the law is very categorically states that this is the responsibility of police to register a case. Police, it means police is the first step. FIR is the first step to register a case. After that, if there is any transportation involves, whether it is transboundary transportation of the persons in trafficking, involves whether it is inside Pakistan or outside Pakistan, then it comes under the jurisdiction of FIA. It is very categorically stated. There is no doubt in this, but of course, the matter lies with the, first of all, lies with the capacity of the police, and also it is about their unawareness about the law. While we were working for formation of stakeholder working group at district level, because it was regarding the officers of at the implementation level. So we got to know that they even don't have, they don't know about the existence of this law, at least. And I think this is not their fault at all, because while working on legislative watch for last 15 years, we know that the Pakistan, it is even called that Pakistan is graveyards of laws. There are, on daily basis, there are enacted a lot of laws, but of course, when you enact the laws, you then take it into just put it on the website, and also sometimes you just take it into your tables. In fact, I would personally would not give doubt to the parliamentarians. After enacted this law, it is also the responsibility of the legislatures to at least provide some mechanisms to get the laws established in the existing structures. And after this, you see, while Barrister Saab was saying that there is no interest or commitment at the part of different departments, but while working with the implementers, I got to know that they too have a lot of interest, especially the police, the Pakistani police. I'm talking about the district police in Sindh province, when we were working there. So they do have a lot of interest to implement these laws, but they don't have the required the capacity. You see, a lot of different mechanisms are already in place in different police stations. For example, this particular all such type of crimes related with having gender dimensions, and also like crimes against women or violence against women, and also different crimes against children that are very much related with these trafficking sort of cases. There are especially desks at police station levels. For example, there were some women protection cells in place at police stations level at district in districts of Sindh. But even though they don't know about this law, but when we started giving this orientation to the police department, yes, they were interested. And this is very significant that they do the police. This is the first step to build the capacity to at least orientate them that about the existence of this law, because FIR is first step, and the second thing is related with, again, it is, in my understanding, I have also a little bit background of the law. It is also my understanding that this is again the responsibility of police to refer the case to FIA. FIA don't have the mandate to take the cases by itself. this is again the responsibility of police to refer the case when the case, when any FIR is registered with the details that the victims are being transferred to the other side of the province, or to the other side, even to the other districts, or even to the to different countries. So this was my and also, you see, again, the problem with the trafficking, with the TIP cases in Pakistan, the most critical is once again the FIR registration. It is not the problem that the FIR is not being registered. FIR being registered but on different laws that are being registered on the existing legal framework, like under the CRP, PPC, Pakistan Penal Code, and whatever the law is available, whatever the law an investigation officer knows at the time of FIR registration, he registered the cases. And also, it is also once again the responsibility of Pakistan Police, the National Police Bureau, to get the statistics of the cases. This is also categorically stated under the law. But even National Police Bureau don't know about this, in my understanding. So I just and also this was what I wanted to contribute here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shaisa, for your contribution and comments. Quick question from Kausar Saab. You educated us about your project, and you mentioned there are a couple of stakeholders working group, one at provincial level and the second at district level. So as Shaisa mentioned, and different national reports, they are highlighting that in Pakistan the real issue is internal trafficking, and now under this new law, police is the lead agency to address this issue in Pakistan. So I know you have added police in your stakeholder working group, but the problem is that police itself does not have any understanding or capacity on it. So I'm just wondering that if you are planning to have specific sessions for police, or like how would you address this issue? Because there is a real need to work with the police at provincial level.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doctor. Yes, you have rightly pointed it out that police is one of the major stakeholders in addressing the internal trafficking law, and I have already mentioned before as well that when we talk with the police, initially they were not aware. And I think you were also the part of one of the session in Karachi or Lahore, when the police was saying that even they were not talking about this issue. When we were discussing with them, they were referring it to again the Pakistan Penal Code and these kind of laws that what we have to do with that. And I think you were part of that session. So the basic thing is that when after having the session and the discussion with them and the sensitizing them and especially making them realize that you are doing a wonderful work, but unfortunately you can't report, you are not reporting it properly. So by to report it properly and to show your performance, you have to understand this law and understand the nature of the crime which falls under the human trafficking and the bonded labor. So after that, they have started, this practice. And we are receiving a very huge demand from the police to conduct their training, to develop their systems, to develop their mechanisms. This shows that they are interested to learn about the human trafficking issue. And Shahid Saab was the part of the stakeholder working group meeting in Sindh. And right after conducting that, after the 2 days, the interior Sindh police, they started contacting us that this is our priority area. We had a meeting with them, and this week, IG Sindh is planning to have a meeting, and I received a call from the SSP day before yesterday, and she was saying that if I can recommend some people of the Sindh who can be the part of that committee, who can assist the police to develop this mechanism. So the purpose to highlight this issue is that there is a need to work with the police to build their capacity, to conduct their, design a kind of training program for the police so that they can address these issues at the local police station level. And it's a very massive exercise, because it just training the IGs or training DIGs would not affect it. We have to train at least the people from the inspector level, who are the SHOs of the police stations, from the inspector and sub-inspector level to the upper heads. So this will help them to register and to understand the nature of the cases, to understand the importance of reporting the human trafficking issues. And I think civil society, they are expecting much support from the civil society, and we are trying to support them whatever we can do on a volunteer basis. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other question from the participants? Ms. Khatija, do you just want to share your experience?
Yes, Khatija is writing a lot. I think she should
yeah. So, Ms. Khatija. So,
Assalamu alaikum.
Islam.
I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Haji. So I just adding on to what Shahid Saab just said and what Kausar already has said about the importance of FIR and everything. I'm just going to share my experience to the extent of Islamabad and doing cases here. I think the other part that also needs to be looked into is the challan. So, we have two possibilities where we can add the relevant sections and we can invoke this legislation. A is the FIR stage and the second stage is the challan stage. And the reason why I say that is because, as per the jurisprudence that we have here in Islamabad, if a special legislation is not invoked at the challan stage and the court takes cognizance, we are not able to challenge it. So I've done cases. I've recently argued a case on child pornography here in Islamabad, and also recently there's a case in which the Islamabad High Court is going to issue guidelines on sexual violence cases. And the recurring theme in these cases that I'm seeing is that even where there are elements of trafficking, the relevant law is not invoked at both stages, at the FIR stage as well as the stage of challan. And then we have a judgment of Islamabad High Court where one of our judges, Nurul Haq Qureshi, he's actually given a judgment. And he said that once cognizance is taken by a court, it attains finality, which means that we cannot challenge it later on. So the entire cases are being concluded under PPC where special legislation is not even invoked. So I think this was just one point that I wanted to share, that FIR registration and interventions with the police are extremely important, but at the same time, we also need to look into prosecutors and magistrates. I feel that they are extremely important because if they do not invoke the relevant provisions at the right time, then it becomes very difficult to invoke these provisions at a later stage, because I'm working as state prosecutor at the High Court level. So by the time we get cases, we actually cannot invoke the special legislation provisions. And I've seen so many cases of sexual violence against children, especially. There's a reported judgment of 377B as well that I have. And in these cases, there are elements of trafficking, but it is being missed by the courts and the prosecutors at the moment.
Thank you so much, Khatija Saiba. I think we are running out of time. So I would like to invite our guest speaker for quick, concluding remarks. So Kausar Saab, you can go first. So any quick concluding remarks.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for moderating this session and bearing us for such a long time. I would like to thank and add and endorse the point of Khatija, but that there is a need to look at the process of the prosecution as well, because even if the police is resisting any case or any of the FIR, when it goes to the court, there is a need to have a strong justice system as well there, that there should be a kind of proper capacity of the judges as well to address these issues. And I would like to thank the US Embassy and all the participants for taking out the time and for organizing this important session.
Thank you, Kausar sir. Barrister Saab, quick comments.
I think it's a great initiative. Just to one or two important elements at the end that were raised, because I think Khatija Saiba clearly established the point that I was talking about, that the law enforcement agencies are not even aware of the basic special law under which they have to proceed. Now, she was talking about the area of Challan. For instance, just a small point that I wanted to establish. The case has to establish from the stage of registering of the FIR and where all these provisions have to be invoked. And then subsequent stage, the point of Challan comes. So I personally believe that even though Kausar Saab has very rightly said that a good effort is being done, but I think still the concept, the point of will on behalf of these individuals has to be developed, and that some out-of-the-box solutions need to be instilled, so that these people should work with much more zeal and energy. And I would especially thank the entire participants, and especially this initiative. I think it's a brilliant effort. Slowly and steadily, we all can bring about a very positive change. So hats off to the organizers and everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Barrister Saab. Now, once again, I would like to request Mr. Paul Giblin for vote of thanks. Over to you.
Well, thank you very much. I think this has been a very useful conversation. I think when we get professionals together and we get our heads together, good solutions can come. I've heard some really good ideas today. I want to thank everyone for the speakers and also for the audience who came in today. It was very useful. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. To the end, I would like to thank the US mission in Pakistan and Pakistan-U.S. Alumni Network, especially Mr. Syed Wasim Saab, Mr. Zach, and other people for providing us this another opportunity to discuss this important issue in Pakistan. And I hope in future we will continue talking about different aspects of trafficking in persons. So, good evening from my side.
Thank you so much, Farhan sir, for the moderation. Can I please request हमारे जो सारे participants हैं, if you can quickly turn on your cameras so that we can have a quick group photo as well. Okay, let's just wait for another few seconds. Okay, so on the count of three, please. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Let me take another one just in case this one gets blurred. On the count of three, please. 1.
Okay, thanks everyone.